Jim Haley grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. He got his first literary rejection letter from a major publishing company when he was only in the 9th grade. It was a great rejection, as rejections go, because the editor praised his talent and encouraged him to keep at it. He did. After 2 years at the UT Law School, he decided he was a better fit for the library than he was for the courtroom, and he turned to writing full-time. Jim has won numerous awards as the author of 20 books, nonfiction and fiction, including the acclaimed biography of Jack London, Wolfe. His latest work is a series of historical fiction, The Putnam Naval Adventures. And the third novel in the series, The Devil in Paradise, will be released this fall. So today on Austin Living Limits, we're being joined by James L. Haley, an award-winning novelist and historian. Jim, glad to have you here today.
Delighted to be here.
My first question is really, you've made a career as a historian, a very noted award-winning historian. How did you come about to write the Putnam Series?
It was brought to me. There was a very smart editor at G.P. Putnam Sons named Nita Talbot, who my agent was talking to her one day, what can we do next year? Can we help you with anything? And she said, well, we'd like to do a tall ship naval adventure series, like the British Hornblower series, or the Master and Commander series by Patrick O'Brien. They're all British, they're all Napoleonic. We would like to do an American series, but we're not sure the American Navy is really doing anything between the War of 1812 and the Civil War. So my agent said, hold the phone, I might have somebody. And I got home from work that day and I had an email from him saying, call me Opportunity Knocks. So he told me what was going on and could I come up with a proposal for an American tall ship series. Well, opportunity doesn't knock very often, so I grabbed him by the belt, yanked him inside, and 2 days later I sent them a proposal for 6 interlocking novels with recurring characters. 2 best friends, one from Connecticut, one from South Carolina, bond as 14-year-old midshipmen during the Barbary Pirate War. Of course, this geographical difference means they've got some issues to bridge. In book 2, they're lieutenants in the War of 1812, and the third book, which comes out in October, is set among the missionaries in Hawaii, and so on. And they gradually grow apart over slavery because one's from Connecticut, one's from South Carolina. So by book 6, they are white-haired old Commodores fighting each other to the death in the Civil War, despite being best friends. Sent this off to Putnam, and Nita said, really? Send me his books. Well, I'd written 2 historical novels, one in Arizona, 1874, one in British East Colonial Africa. And so I was scared to death because they're kind of artsy and fartsy. And this woman had edited Danielle Steele. So they bought them, I got a contract for the first 3, and we have had more fun than a barrel of monkeys working up these stories.
Now, number 4 is going to bring you to Texas.
Yes, number 4, the boys are detailed to the Republic of Texas Navy during the Revolution. And now, mind you, the books are becoming more fictionalized and more novelistic as the series progresses. The book, the first one about the Barbary Pirate War, hews, excuse me, almost entirely to real events. But as we diverge from fiction and in history a little bit, I'm dying to tell you the story of the Texas thing, but I just can't because I've got to finish it in 5 weeks, and they would kill me if I told you.
Both nonfiction and fiction history, historical novels and nonfiction history, require a lot of research.
Yep.
Is there a difference in the way you approach doing your research for whether it is going to be nonfiction or whether it's going to be one of your novels?
Big time difference. When you do historical fiction, you have to know the entire world, how their shoes felt, what they ate, and so on. It's 6 times harder than just giving the history of a given event. My characters can't say, okay, until 1840. In book 2, I wanted to start off, they live on a farm in New England, it's autumn, they're having pumpkin pie, so I'm writing the scene, wait a minute, how do I know they had pumpkin pie in 1810? Well, I did the research, they had pumpkin pie, but it was not our pumpkin pie. What they would do is the woman would make a custard of cream and eggs and sugar and pour it inside a pumpkin and then bake the pumpkin. and then sliced the entire pumpkin, and that to them was pumpkin pie. So I not only had to, I got to have pumpkin pie in the story, I got to do a whole riff on this change from a baked pumpkin to the custard that we have today. And my main character's father, who's very old-fashioned, really didn't like the newfangled kind of pumpkin pie. But you have to know the whole life. Or pencils. Here's a guy taking notes with a pencil. Wait, did they have pencils? Well, it turned out, after doing the research, that the first American pencil manufacturer was in Boston in 1812. So I not only got to have a pencil, I got to do a whole riff on pencils. So yeah, fiction is a lot more research.
You live and breathe history.
Yeah.
Nonfiction, fiction, which do you prefer?
Ooh. Now, I think I prefer fiction because the actual events of history almost never give you a complete story arc. I used to hate historical fiction. I would never read Michener, I would never read Irving Stone, because if I'm reading people in costumes, I want to know what really happened and what some author is just shoveling in there for story. But now I realize that you can't tell the whole story just with actual facts.
Why history? Why? I mean, you're so into that, whether it's the nonfiction or the fiction. Why is history such a big part of your life and writing about it?
Okay. Everything that you believe in this world that's important. What's right, what's wrong, what's moral, what's immoral, how should you live, vote, worship, raise your children, everything you believe filters like coffee through what you ever understood about history or not. It's not something you walk out and make a living with, but it informs everything about what kind of human being you are. And it has altered my whole trajectory in life by not being at other people's mercy about what really happened and why we do things the way we do. And most of what you hear on TV is wrong. So to me, history is apart from a command of language, history is the most important thing you can know.
So the next book comes out in October. What is it that you would really want people to take away from that?
Oh, that's a good question. When the first book came out in 2016, it was at the Texas Book Festival, and I was doing a session, and there was a rather dour-looking lady on the front row with her arms crossed, and she raised her hand. And I thought, oh, a question. And she said, so are you finally, in this tall ship sailing genre, are you finally going to give us strong female characters who aren't either whores or barmaids? And the audience laughed. I said, ladies and gentlemen, she's not a plant. I have never met this lady before. But yes, we have had meetings about this and decided to have strong recurring female characters because there are none in the Hornblower series and the Patrick O'Brien series, and we've decided, especially since more women buy books than men, to feature strong women characters. Book 3, The Devil in Paradise, which comes out in October, that is her story. Book 4 is the best friend's story. So I'm trying to give all of my main characters a turn at this. I don't know what that's going to do for sales.
It's only fair.
It's only fair. So book 3 is Clarity's story. And so when people read it and go, gosh, there's not a whole lot of broadsides across deep water. Yeah, but this is her story. We'll get back to the broadsides across deep water in book 4.
All right, so it's time now for the Austin Liti Limits Lightning Round, which is something that we stole from inside the Actors Studio with James Limpton. But anyway, we have 10 questions we want to ask. In the first question, what's your favorite word?
Try.
What's your least favorite word?
Meritorious.
What turns you on?
Bravery.
What turns you off?
Ignorance.
What's your idea of happiness?
Arms.
If you could be any character from a well-known novel, who would it be?
That would have changed as I get older. Oh boy. Right now, from my present age and station, maybe the Jubal character from A Stranger in a Strange Land.
Who's your favorite author?
Who's your favorite child? I mean, I can't do that. Favorite biographer, Richard Ellman for Oscar Wilde. favorite historian, the guy that did Nicholas and Alexandra, Massey, Robert Massey, doing original research in French, Russian, German, and English. Wow. Favorite, somewhat contemporary fiction, probably Pat Conroy, because I think he was the last great stylist that you could read and just let his use of language wash over you like surf. I know that's 4, but I can't do 1.
4 is good. What profession, other than being an author and what you're engaged in now, would you like to attempt?
Run a zoo.
What profession would you least like to do?
Programmer.
Our final question. If heaven exists, what would you like God to say to you when you get to the check-in desk?
Nah, you tried. Come on in.
Jim Haley, thank you very much for talking with us this afternoon. Really appreciate it.
Totally my pleasure.
Wish you continued success.
And to you, award winner.